Hi everyone, this is Michaela Ellis, and I chose the topic equal groups because I'm a third grade teacher and multiplication is a huge unit that we teach, so I wanted to learn more on how I could teach this better for my future students next year and the upcoming years. I found an article called Cooking Up Arrays, and it was about a second grade class and how they were doing a canned food donation drive, and they had a ton of cans just sitting around their classroom. So the teacher thought it would be a good idea to see what their students knew about multiplication, and they used the cans as manipulatives. There were so many things that stuck out to me and that I learned from the article. One thing I learned is it's so important to use open-ended questions when you are trying to figure out what your students know. Manipulatives are also good for students to help them solve, but it's also good for teachers because you get to see what the students do with the manipulatives and what they know from the manipulatives. It's also important to change the problem. If you aren't seeing what you want to see, or if you're unsure if the students are understanding something, it's okay to change the problem so that you can see for sure what they know and what they understand, or what you're wanting to see. I'm also planning on using math journals next year so I can help my students with discussions when we talk about how they solved their problem. Sometimes it's important, you can just have random kids go up and share, or if you want to select certain work and kind of gradually make your way to the ending of solving the problem, that's one way to show your work or to do your discussions from what I read in the article. In the articles in the article, teachers weren't sure if students were understanding multiplication fully because the students were using repeated addition to add their equal groups, and some students were making drawings of rows of cans, but they weren't showing if they understood the rows as equal groups. However, the book states that this is a process students will go through and will start to make the connection that repeated addition will get the same answer as multiplication. This is important for me to know that this is a process that my students will go through, and it will be important for me to help my students make that connection now that I know that this is something that they should be going through. I thought the article could relate to a couple of the 5 dimensions, but the one that stuck out to me the most was cognitive demand, because the students were working in groups, collaborating together, and making math drawings to help them later explain to the class what they did to solve. This is important for me because I plan on doing more open-ended problems next year, but I also want to incorporate all the 5 dimensions, so I need to do more than just open-ended questions. If you teach multiplication, or if you teach second grade, third grade, fourth grade, I highly recommend reading this article. It is a fun activity, but it also gives us teachers so much insight on what students will go through in the process of going from repeated addition to equal groups to creating arrays. The article states that research shows that already made arrays are hard to understand. That really stuck out to me because I never gave my students time to explore and possibly create their own arrays. So I look forward to going through this process with my students next year. I look forward to giving my students open-ended problem and let them work together and come up with their own connections before I show them rules or the way to solve. In the article, Cooking Up Arrays really helped me see that this is what I need to do. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something too.